Hello, people. It's Mark and Lara from Kharischangeworks. Guys, I hope you are well. If Lara's internet freezes up a little bit, it's because the internet at the minute is not stable. You might have noticed in other videos where we've been having these talks together that from time to time she freezes out, and it's not deliberate, it's just the internet at this particular point in time. I have a philosophy that I've noticed over time in relationship to people having a relationship. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but it can be. It can be a platonic relationship, but it can even be a business-related relationship. The point I'm making is when two people are in any kind of relationship, regardless of the type, from time to time, there's going to be a heated discussion of some sort. There's going to be a discussion where opinions might differ. These opinions might be the gate to letting go of your emotions, anger, frustration. You might get upset. You might shout and scream. You might end up feeling quite hurt. And if I were to use nature as an example of what happens there is, when you have these debates, these arguments, these discussions, call them whatever you like, a lot of people say it is talking with fire, right? Because of the heat of the moment in that discussion, whether it be a negotiation or it's a business proposal, and there needs to be a lot of points of view in order to resolve this thing. It doesn't really matter. But when your emotions start getting a little bit loose and a little bit free, chances are that you're going to start saying things that are going to be hurtful, unhelpful, and so on. Now, here's my philosophy. When person A starts discussing something with person B, and they have this attitude of fire, right? It might be deliberate in order to provoke a reaction from person B, or it might just be that the nature of the subject being discussed is a fiery one. It doesn't matter. So fire comes from person A to person B, and how person B reacts is quite important. It's quite telling of person B. Just like person A has got there's a lot being said about person A when they start spewing out venom and anger and frustrations in an aggressive style manner towards person B. There's a lot that needs to be learned from that interaction. Now, here's my philosophy that I've noticed over the years, and this is particularly true when it comes down to toxic and corrosive relationships. We've discussed the internet is full of data regarding how narcs want to be in control, how they have to be right, because it is just part of their makeup. They have to be right. Now, here's the thing. You can't fight fire with fire. You get a bigger fire. Fire, fire, bigger fire. It is as simple as that.
Yes.
Okay, Lara, what's your point of view on that?
I totally agree with that. I think it's even in any relationship, whether it's with your kids or your parents or whatever, if you're having a heated discussion and you're both coming in with a lot to say and you've got a temper and you're shouting and screaming and performing, it's just going to make a bigger situation. So you need to be the better person, I guess, and try and take it from a different perspective to try and calm down the situation and try and get a solution without making a bigger problem.
Yes. Okay. So if someone's fighting you with fire, verbally, emotionally, psychologically, now if fighting fire with fire brings about a bigger fire, someone has to become water in order to quench that fire. Otherwise, there's going to be this argument and fire and fire and fire and fire. And before you know it, there's going to be a fire that big that it cannot be quenched. Now, this is what I think, Lara, is this. If person A is the one that instigates the fiery discussion,
yes,
and person B reacts, because let's be fair, if I'm going to start being aggressive towards you, there's going to be a high probability that you're going to react in a similar way. Right? So person A brings the fire. Person B reacts with fire, which then causes person A to react with even more fire.
correct.
Now we can have this conversation, fire and fire and fire, and before you know it, there's such amount of hostility and animosity between person A and person B that the risk is that the friendship, the relationship might come to an end. That's worst case scenario. Now I believe that if you want to fight fire with fire, you're going to be with fire. Someone has to be water. Someone has to decide at some point, I respect the relationship too much. This friendship means a lot to me. I like that person and I don't like hurting them. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
In my eyes, it's the wise, it is the strong, it is the humble, it is the courteous, the gracious even, I would say. It is that natured person that says, hang on, why lose a friendship or why lose a relationship just because our opinions are vastly different?
Yes.
Is this argument worth that risk? Now, in my case, if I look at you and I look at our friendship and our relationship that we've got, that spans for 30 odd years, right? Now, if we were to have a discussion where we are going to debate something where we vastly disagree.
Yeah.
Now, my knowledge of you and your knowledge of me would indicate that either one of us would become water in that instance.
Yes, correct.
Because of the love that we share between us in this friendship that we have. Because we respect each other. Because we've always been transparent and open and honest with each other. Because of that, either you or me will decide this is a risk too high to take when it comes down to
correct
an argument that might be quite petty. And what I'm trying to say here is, if you folks, if you value your friendship, if you value that relationship, regardless of the type of relationship that it might be, because you value that person and the good times that you've had with them in in making memories and so on and so forth, the wise, the strong, the humble would turn around and say, after numerous interactions, that this fire exchange is too much of a price to pay.
Right.
It is better to say, listen, for the sake of our friendship, let's agree to disagree.
Correct.
And let's not our differences be the result of us parting ways. This kind of tolerance that might be exchanged between these two people, the wise, the humble, the strong will say, I value the friendship, I value the relationship. I'm going to bring water to the equation to quench the fire. So both parties are saved.
I think it's also a form of respect.
Yes.
Because if you're willing to do that, then you respect the other person and yourself and the friendship, relationship, business partnership, whatever it is. You're willing to be the better person and to, so let's agree to disagree, because you're not always going to agree on everything. It's just a fact of life because people are individuals. But it's the attitude you take when you are in that situation that defines who your true character is, I guess.
Yes. So the point, what we're trying to make here is how you react in a highly charged emotional exchange of opinions and facts and so on. The person that quenches the fire when it's at risk of destroying the relationship or the friendship, from our opinion, you are the strong one. You are the humble one. And it speaks volumes, or it should speak volumes, of what kind of a person you are, should the other person want to continue bringing fire. Now, the knock is this: I want to bring as much fire as I possibly can, because the agenda is to destroy. And when you bring water to that fire, it frustrates the knock in particular, because it means they can't light you and charge you emotionally. So therefore, the argument just peters out, because you can't set water on fire. And to me, and I think Lara's the same, when you respect people, when you've got that honesty, when you've got that boldness in the relationship to say, listen, you know what, our friendship is worth more than this. And you call it quits, you draw that line in the sand and you say, do you know what, I don't want to lose this. It's a thumbs up. And kudos to you. And if the other person then reacts in the same way, say, oh, hang on, we got a little bit emotionally entangled here with this fiery exchange. And then that also speaks volumes of them, because they then realize, hang on a second, the friendship is too important. It's too valuable. Because at the end of the day, when we come to the last days of our lives, we're not going to worry about how many cars we drove. We're not going to worry about how many houses we have. We're not going to care so much about the kind of clothes that we wore. We're going to be more concerned about what will my friends and family say at my funeral? What memories will I have? I'm not going to worry about my car, my house, and the kind of food I ate. I'm going to be more concerned about who's going to stand by my deathbed. And it is the friends and family that ought to be there, because your house and your car would all be sold by then. And it's only then that a lot of people will realize they've wasted so much time on material stuff instead of spending more and more time on the stuff that really matters, which is people.
Yes.
But then it's going to be too late. So let's learn the lesson now. Let's invest our time and energy into people.
Excuse me, yes.
We're going to look after you when you need it. Your car, your house. Those things don't care. But people do.
Yes.
And that's the message that we want to drive home tonight, is simply this. People are the fundamental thing that we need when we're very young, and then things change and we refine. And it's all to do with when we end up at the last days of our lives. The ones who stand there at our deathbeds, they're the ones that you will more than likely have had a very rich journey with in life.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that you'll take to the grave. That's the thing that they will talk about at your funeral.
Mhm.
And that's important.
Correct.
So, whatever your thoughts are on this, I would like to hear. Lara would like to hear. We would like to know what's
Absolutely.
going on. How do you quench fire when it comes down to these exchanges? Have you been the one that instigates the fire? Have you been the one that quenches it? Have you lost a friendship or a relationship as a result of your emotions going wild? It is what it is. Please do the YouTube admin, and particularly the comments on this one, because this is important. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, be called. Please tell all your friends and all your family. But for now, this is Mark and Lara from Kharischangeworks, and we will speak to you soon.
Bye.